Do you believe that there is life after death and wonder how it looks like? Will we go to heaven or suffer in hell after we die? Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, where we share mind-blown near-death experiences stories all over the world. Lay back, relax and let's begin today's story. This happened to me back in 2003 and I still remember this as vividly as the day it happened. On the night in question, I went to bed, it being like any other ordinary night. I remember waking up, as it were, only to find myself in complete darkness, which I call the void. This was no dream because I just knew it was real. My senses worked perfectly and I had complete clarity of thought. It was more real than my sitting here and typing this. The feeling I had was of complete contentedness and an overwhelming peace. I tried to peer through the darkness, but no matter how much I strained to look in any direction, it was completely impenetrable. After I gave up trying to see something, I just stared around in wonder. Then a thought popped into my head, oh, I must be dead. Oh well. I was rather nonchalant about it. I sat there for between moments and minutes, I really couldn't tell. Time didn't seem to exist. All was silent and I was actually quite content to sit there forever. I was very curious about my new situation and thought nothing odd about being there. I had no sense of even having a body. I just was. There was no temperature, no sound, and no nothing. I couldn't move even if I wanted to. I didn't know how, and even if I did, there was nowhere to go. After a few moments of this, I thought to myself, where's God in all this? At the very moment I thought that, a pinprick of bright, golden light suddenly appeared on my right side, far off in the distance. At first I wasn't sure what I was seeing, then the light vanished after a split second and suddenly reappeared. This time, it was a tiny bit closer. It kept doing this, vanishing and getting closer and closer with each appearance. Each time it did this, there was a strange sound, like a far-off thunderclap. Only it wasn't thunder, I can't really describe it. Right after the first 2 or 3 pulses, the thought came to mind, ooh, that must be the tunnel. God is at the end of that, I have to concentrate on it or I might be stuck here forever. So I intently concentrated. I also had the odd thought, don't think of anything bad. I was worried that I would slip up and do that in front of him. Now that I've thought about it, it was kind of silly for me to say that to myself since he knows everything already. Once the light engulfed me completely, I flew through the tunnel. It was quite fast at first, then I wondered if I could slow it down. So I thought, slower, then faster. As I thought this, it happened. As an aside, the walls of the tunnel were streaked with blue rays when I would look at it. Mostly, I was looking up, if you can call it that. When I looked up, it looked like I was inside a pitch-black tornado. The walls twisted around themselves as I moved through it until I saw a super bright pinprick of light appear at the end. This kept getting brighter and brighter until I finally reached the top of the tunnel. I recall stopping at the top of the tunnel and floating towards an open opening or portal. A strange feeling came over me that told me that I had arrived. Behind me was the top of the tunnel. In front of me was a demarcation point consisting of a bright blue sky with swirling white clouds around it. In the very center, I saw a massive ball of light of indescribable brightness. I knew immediately this was God. Although I'm using words like in front and behind, they are really meaningless as my vision had expanded to 360 degrees. I would look behind me to focus on the mouth of the tunnel, which was swirling and darker than even the blackness surrounding it. I was acutely aware of that, however I wasn't actually turning my head to look at this since I didn't have a head, much less a body. I had a simultaneous view of all angles. I was also more aware of myself than when I was in the void. I now perceived myself as a puffball of energy, although I was completely formless. I felt completely drawn to him. I felt such longing to be with him that I wanted to merge immediately. This time I could move with a mere effort of will. Wherever I wanted to go, I would instantly be there. The problem was that when I tried to approach God, I was immediately blocked by an unseen force. I can't even describe the way I was stopped. I didn't bump into any force, wall, or anything. I would just be firmly, but gently halted right where the beginning of the blue sky started. I was neither disappointed nor angry, just intensely curious. After trying to get through the barrier twice more and failing, I noticed the very tall silhouette of a man entering my field of vision from my right side and taking a place between God and myself. He was unmistakably Jesus. With later reflection, I wonder if it was either my guide or God presenting that form to me to give me something with a human aspect to grasp onto that I would be comfortable with. I was reared with a Catholic background, so this makes sense to me. He had no features, but was filled with an amazing deep blue radiance. It was a very captivating sight, but I still wanted merge with the light. I even remember being slightly put off that he was blocking my vision of the light and thinking that if he would just move over a bit, then I could see the brightness again. He apparently heard me, because he moved over just enough to give me a quick glimpse. Then he moved back again. I tried 4 more times to zoom directly through him and directly into the blue sky. The same barrier blocked me at every attempt. There was no way I was going to be allowed to pass. I can only assume it wasn't my time. I finally gave up and backed off enough to sit there and have a staring contest with him, with neither of us addressing the other. The only thought that kept coming into my mind was, I wonder why he's not saying anything. I just sat there waiting for him to say something. It never happened. Regardless of this, I was still overwhelmed with peace and super curious as to everything going on. I never felt any infinite love nor knowledge being transferred to me in any way. I guess that wasn't on the menu. After about a minute of this staring contest, I found myself backing away from the light and towards the top of the tunnel. I tried to stay, but it was clear that I was being gently directed back towards the tunnel, whether I liked it or not. Before I realized it, I was rocketing back down the tunnel at the same speed as before. The light grew smaller and smaller until only a crack of it remained. I tried to keep it in my field of vision, but it vanished after that. After I reached the bottom of the tunnel, I ended up being dumped into a normal, earthly dream. After I woke up, I found the aspects of my regular dream to be fading quickly as I would expect. My journey to God, on the other hand, left me with complete recollection. There is not one detail that I cannot remember even to this day. After thinking about it, I assume I was in the void for the purpose of giving me the choice to either ask for God, or to return to the world. It occurs to me now that whichever scenario I picked would have been honored.